When I was born, the name for what I was did not exist, is the speech in the reimagining myth of Circe, who was once shortly illustrated as a cameo in chapter 10 of one of the most acclaimed heroic Greek poems, Odyssey, by the well known poet named Homer. When taking a deep look at the aforementioned speech, it seems that the name that did not exist at that time could be any names or status which were able to empower the second sex. In addition, the non existence of those names might occur at that time due to the great power of the patriarchal society. Let me stop here for a moment before discussing more and explain what the term second sex refers to. The term second sex is suggested by Simone de Beauvoir to substitute the terms woman and female to create the equality of gender. That's why the audiences of this podcast are going to encounter the term through our listening. Shall we go back to discuss about the second sex cameo in Greek mythology, who now has the chance to be the protagonist of her reimagining myth? Madeline Miller, who is the modern second sex writer and who is rewarded for many book awards for her outstanding reimagining myth, intends to lighten the dim myth of Circe, whose myths were only transmitted to the audiences via masculine perspectives in Greek mythology. So, this is the good chance for Circe, who was known for a long time that she is just a witch on the isolated island, who is capable of transforming a man into a pig, to be able to explain all causes of every circumstance relating to her by herself. Nevertheless, apart from the explanations of all circumstances, Circe can also reflect the masculine oppression through her reimagining myths. Since she is just an innocent child, she is usually threatened by her first younger brother, Perseus. For example, he pinches Circe with his masculine strength because Circe doesn't respond to his curiosity. This action should be considered for punishment by the parents. Unfortunately, Circe is not the beloved child of the parents, so she has to endure Perseus' actions alone. Worst, when she grows up as a teenager, she is exiled to live on the isolated island, Air, by her father, who prefers to save the family honor to remain his eldest daughter in the house. On the isolated island, Circe spends years after years on developing herself and her beach power. Even though she lives on the seabed island, she cannot escape from the masculine oppression, which sails to catch her. She is sexually abused by the leader of sailors, whom Circe kindly feeds their mouth without knowing that these abhorrent monsters in disguise of pitiful sailors desire her to feed their lust. At least, the leader fortunate is with Circe, for she can transform the leader who sexually abuses her into a pig before his fellows would have continued performing the disgusting acts. Those actions are adequately severe for one woman, regardless of having power or not, like Circe, to endure. But there is still one more action which can reflect the masculine oppression. When the age of mother comes to Circe, she performs many tracks which can indicate that the power she possesses is not only the witch power, but also the power of the heroine. Giving the birth to her only son, Telegonus, alone on the isolated island without any assistance, and venturing to challenge Trigon, the elder and more powerful creator than any gods in the Greek mythology, for his tale. Our Telegonus should consider and worship Circe as his heroine. On the other hand, he chooses to follow his father because he is possibly implicit by the heroic story of Odysseus, which Circe has told him many times, and to leave his mother behind when Athena gives him the fertile future of being a king at the almost ending chapter. Even though this is the reimagining myth of the former cameo like Circe, it can reflect the reality which normally occurs to the second sex at the present time. Even though this is the reimagining myth of the former cameo like Circe, it can reflect the reality, which normally occurs to the second sex at the present time. A lot of second sexes have to encounter the femicide, which is explained by the World Health Organization that it is how a woman or a girl is verbally and non-verbally violated with various forms of severe actions. Like Circe has to encounter when she is wickedly behaved by the brother, the father, the sailors, and the son. Being the second sex, both in the mythical world or in the real world, it is not easy. She, the second sex, is the human who walks by feet, who eats by mouth, and who has brain and organs, which indicate no difference from being an ordinarily human. It is wondering why most men perceive her as the object, or words as the wordless object, which is used for responding to their selfish needs. Some men might argue that a man perceives the second sex like what was said previously, because a man is a human who feeds the second sex. There might be one question to those men with the argument that if the roles are reversed, the second sex is the human who works for feeding them, and they have to accept every role and perception of being the second sex. Will they be delighted to agree? Unfortunately, I, as the podcast owner, might not be able to receive some honorable responses from those men. All I can do is to hope that those men should not answer by basing on self-centeredness or obsession with the power assigned by the patriarchal society, which is probably used as the accusation.